So welcome to a new workshop called What's New with Canvas. I noticed a lot of people joining Canvas Basics again and again just to kind of get updates on what's new. And it's true that I say that Canvas changes a lot. So I decided to put together, hopefully, this regular, maybe once a year or once a semester workshop that is specifically just to kind of cover how Canvas has changed significantly since the last time I gave this workshop. I'm not going to catch absolutely everything. That's just kind of the nature of having something that changes a lot. So I am going to, near the end of this workshop, tell you where you can learn about Canvas changes that are relevant to you as an instructor, as well as some upcoming future changes as well. I will be the first to admit it's not the easiest thing to keep track of, even for me. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll just dive right in and just start with some sort of overall general Canvas changes. And yes, some of these changes are going to be things that you might think, oh, that's been there a while. This is the first time giving this update. So depending on how closely people have been paying attention, I'm going to try to cover the whole kit and caboodle from when we first started using Canvas. So you can now go over to the navigation bar on the left-hand side, and that will show you pages that you have recently visited. So if you're someone who has trouble navigating around and you can't find which course you're in or which assignment you need, this recent history is handy to help you navigate. And students have that as well. So these are the guides to how to use that button as a student or as an instructor. I think they're probably pretty similar between the two. You can now run reports from new analytics. So if you go into your new analytics on the right-hand side, there we go, new analytics. And I can come over here and click on reports. One of the complaints / inconveniences of new analytics is that it is not in real time. It's a day old. So never use your regular new analytics to try and figure out what students have been doing in the past 24 hours. However, if you run these reports, these are near real-time data. So you can see missing assignments, late assignments, etc. This will download as a CSV that you can open in Excel or Google Sheets or something like that. If you want to know what each of these things will show you, you can click on the eye icon, the information icon, and then that will give you a preview of what that spreadsheet is going to look like. So here we have the student's name, ID, the course ID, the section name, which is the Canvas section, not necessarily the CRN, assignment name, the points, the due date, and the date that the assignment was unlocked for students to start participating with it. So that's these are reports that you can run, and then once you run them, you can download them, and then you can open them in Excel or Google Sheets or what have you, wherever you open your spreadsheets. Another thing is Immersive Reader. I think I maybe gave a workshop on this. I don't know if I posted the recording. Students can click this button at the top right and have that page read out loud to them. It also includes handy things like translations if they need it. They can slow it down, speed it up. I fully admit to being someone who prefers to listen to stuff if I am falling asleep. It helps me stay focused. So this is a cool thing. But to take advantage of it in Canvas, you can help them out by converting some of your documents or your assignments into pages if there's a lot of information that you want them to be able to read with Immersive Reader. There is a blurb about using Immersive Reader in the student Canvas orientation. So feel free to point it out to students and let them know if they have more questions or want more detail about how to use it. You can either send them this, or you can tell them to make sure they take the orientation, which they should be enrolled in automatically. Assignments. So there have been some changes to how assignments work, and mostly good stuff. So there is now a Speedgrader comment library, and this basically allows you to save and reuse comments that you have used as feedback on student work using Speedgrader. So when you have students submit an assignment online through like a file upload or something like text entry, I think even when you grade discussions maybe, or when you grade quizzes, you also use Speedgrader. Essentially, there have been great suggestions as workarounds for this in the past, where you like have a document where you save all your comments that you use frequently and you sort of copy and paste them in there. Now Canvas has a way to save those in Canvas itself, which is really handy, I think. You can also turn on this option to show suggestions when typing, and that's kind of like your Google autocomplete, your text message autocomplete. You start typing and it'll, if I start typing, you have a clear argument, it'll say, oh, hey, I know which comment you're trying to type, and it'll pop up and you can click on it. You can turn that on or off, depends on how useful it is to you. David did a YouTube video here on how to use the comment library. It's 5 minutes long. I'm not going to go through it now because that resource is there. But in short, I think that's been a long time coming, and I think instructors might find that really valuable. Student annotation submissions. This is a new online assignment type. I want to be upfront that this is not going to be accessible for students who have certain disabilities, such as blindness, if they need to use a screen reader or a Braille reader. This isn't going to be for them. So definitely do feel free to use this, but make sure you have a sort of a backup assignment if you have a student who tells you that they can't use this. So that's my disclaimer. So basically what this is that you upload like a digital handout of sorts, and then students can mark it up using the annotation tools that you would find when you're marking up student papers in Speedgrader. If they uploaded like a Word document as their assignment and you have used the Docviewer to like annotate, to draw on the assignment. Obviously, I'm using a lot of vocabulary words here. So just to be clear, annotation is what Canvas calls drawing on files. You know, you can use text, you can use comments, you can highlight, you can cross things out, you can draw little boxes. That's annotation. And it's good to know that because if you try to look up like help articles on it for you or for your students, Canvas is going to call it the annotator or annotating. Docviewer is this right here. So it is the thing inside of Speedgrader. It also appears in some other places, but Docviewer is the thing that lets you see these documents, including Word documents, including PowerPoints, etc. And it will also let you draw on those documents. So this is Docviewer. And again, that makes it easier to Google it if you know what that is called. Speedgrader is the bigger thing that allows you to use rubrics and comments and all sorts of feedback. It has Docviewer inside of it oftentimes, not always. Some student assignment types don't use Docviewer if it's like a text entry or something. But in any case, I throw those terms on there just because Canvas has very specific jargon sometimes, which I'm not a huge fan of, but in any case, that's what it's called. You can basically upload a file and tell students to draw on it. Again, here are instructions that you can send to students and a video for anyone who wants to learn how to use Docviewer to draw on stuff. Again, I don't expect you to understand this well enough from the student perspective to be able to explain how to do it. You can also read how to set up, how do I create an online assignment? That's going to take you through all of these options, but it now includes how to do a student annotation assignment. And these are the file types that Docviewer, which again, Docviewer is this thing right here, that Docviewer will accept as of, September 2021. So Word documents, PDFs, real text files. Notice that I don't know if Pages is on here. I'm not a Mac user, but we've got Excel files, text files, etc. So another update to Canvas assignments that came semi-recently was the addition of Turnitin. So we do not have like a full subscription to Turnitin, and I'm not going to take you through this step by step because again, I created this little like quick start video on how to use Turnitin in Canvas. It's like 12 minutes long. Our product is called Turnitin Similarity, in case you are someone who goes looking for instructions on how to use Turnitin and you're like, oh my God, there's all these different types. Ours is called Turnitin Similarity. You're not going to necessarily find that information elsewhere. But essentially, for Canvas file upload submissions in online assignments, so this does not apply to things like, again, quizzes, discussions, etc. You can set it up to have it run through Turnitin using this plagiarism review option. Plagiarism review is only going to show up if you set up your assignment with a compatible submission type. So I don't think this is going to work for like student annotations, etc. There's no way for Turnitin to like know whether the student's annotations were plagiarized. It has to be like a file upload. But in any case, definitely watch this quick start video if you're interested. And if you would like to, I also recommend setting up a sample assignment with unlimited submissions that is not graded. Students often ask, hey, I want to run my submission through Turnitin before I officially turn it in, because I don't know, did I cite things correctly? I want to see what my score is going to be before the real thing. So that's something students request often. So there isn't really a way for them to go to like the Turnitin website and do that. We don't have that type of subscription, but they can if you set up a sample assignment first that is not graded. Or if you just allow multiple submissions on the final assignment and just say, just submit, and I won't actually grade it until after, the due date, and just submit as many times as you want, and make adjustments based on your score. That's totally an option. This only works for Canvas assignments. So the next set of updates are all going to be sort of centered around the new rich content editor, which by now is just called the rich content editor. At one point we had an old one, and then there was a new one. This was in January. It switched over. This is also called the RCE for short. As always, I tell people that I would like them to know what that means, rich content editor, or RCE, because again, when you go looking for Canvas help documentation, when you try to help students find help documentation, Canvas is going to call it the rich content editor online. So, and we refer to it as the RCE. New RCE, again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it because this update came in January. So you've probably been, you've definitely been using it since then. However, I'll just kind of make some notes. David did a new RCE workshop. I created a quick guide, that kind of takes you through the basics of the changes in the old one versus the new one, including like some things have moved, what's new, where, some things that you should be clicking on to find stuff, including a lot of people were confused, understandably, when like the YouTube button went away, the Panopto button went away. Those are still there. They're just under the plug icon. So this is just sort of a quick guide that shows you what you might miss if you're not looking for it. And then David did a full workshop as well. Just know that if you can't find something that you used to use, it's probably there, and take a look at this guide or this workshop. One thing that popped up that I didn't notice until it sort of hit me in the face was that there are now multiple ways that your files or your documents can be viewed by students once you put them in the new RCE. So you can embed your files or your documents in Canvas pages, in assignments, in assignments, quizzes, etc. And now there are additional options for how a student is going to see those documents when you embed them. So let's say that I have a page for my syllabus and I talk about my syllabus, like, hey, you're going to be responsible for this information. Make sure you read it all. There's going to be a quiz, whatever I want to say about the syllabus. And then I embed my syllabus in that page or part of my syllabus or some other document. I'm actually going to show you. Let's go here, and I have a syllabus page that I've set up ahead of time. And there are 3 different links here. So here I have at the bottom, let's start at the bottom and work our way up. I have my syllabus here that just kind of appears. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't click anything. The file preview, which is what this is called, just appeared embedded in the page, and I can just read the syllabus from here. The second option is, and this is called preview inline. The next one is I can click on this link right here, and that opens an inline preview. So again, it's the exact same as this one. It's either closed or open. I either have to click on it or not in order to see it. So those two are the same, just it takes a click or it doesn't. This one is different. So you may have noticed that some file previews now open in a full page view, and you may or may not want this. It kind of depends on how big your text is, how detailed it is, but basically when a student clicks on this, it's going to open up in a full screen. I was a little disoriented the first time this happened because I couldn't find this close button because this text is kind of hard to read, I think. So in any case, you can decide. I had to click on this in order for it to open. It opened in a full screen. I have the option to download. I can read some information about it, and I can close it. And then I have this preview. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. Which ones you use is totally going to depend on the file that you have uploaded and how you want your students to see it. So if I go in and I edit this, you can see these are all links. So if I click on it and I go to link options, that is where you will find these preview options. So I have preview and overlay. This one is preview inline. So this is the embedded option. And then this one is preview inline, expand preview by default. So expand the embedded document so that it can be seen without having to click on it. So that's a new-ish option. I actually didn't look at the date to see when that arrived, but that one kind of took me by surprise. And I also included a link to that Canvas guide. Okay, this is the, hopefully you knew, maybe you didn't, that's fine. Canvas has an accessibility checker that lives at the bottom right of the rich content editor. It's this little circular icon with a person standing inside of it. A lot of people didn't know about it. If you didn't know about it, I wouldn't blame you. So Canvas decided to try and draw some more attention to when you might need to use it. So starting Saturday, this little orange bubble is going to pop up to tell you you have some accessibility issues on this page. Now, I want to be clear that I think this is really good. I'm a fan. Definitely pay attention to it, and I'm going to walk you through it in just a sec. It is not going to check for everything. I think they did a study, and automated accessibility checkers only catch something like 20% of possible errors or potential barriers to students with certain types of disabilities. First, I want to take you through how to use it, because one of the benefits is that I do think Canvas has one of the best accessibility checkers out there. A downside is that you cannot check your entire course at once. This only works for the content that is immediately inside your rich content editor. Another downside is that I do not believe New Quizzes has an accessibility checker at all yet. This page right here it's just kind of a sample page that I threw together, is just awash in accessibility barriers. If you don't see that immediately, you are in the majority. Accessibility barriers in online spaces are invisible most of the time to the average person. There are some that you can kind of catch just by looking, but very rarely. And that's why we use things like accessibility checkers. That's why I also just encourage you to have some knowledge of accessibility for the things that checkers will not catch. So I'm going to edit this page, and this will work in pages, in assignments, in a lot of discussions. Students actually have access to this as well. So notice that it is telling me, I'm going to zoom in just a tad because I think this is kind of small. It's telling me that there are 6 errors on this page, or barriers, excuse me. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to walk me through fixing them, and it's actually going to help fix some of these things for me, which is really nice. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to highlight what it is looking at. So right now it's looking at this image very at the top, and it's saying that image file names should not be used as alt text, as the alt attribute when describing image content. So what the heck does that mean? Well, I can click on this little question mark and it's going to describe why this is a thing, why it's important. And if you want to, you can learn more about it. For now, I'm just going to say KVCC Tower entrance. That's not how you spell entrance. Typing while presenting is fun. And then I have to hit apply. And boom, it has fixed that for me. So this accessibility checker is really helpful at like walking you through all of these things. So text larger than 18, blah, 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 minimum contrast ratio. What the heck does this mean? Text is difficult to read without sufficient contrast between the text and the background, especially for those with low vision. So what it's saying is that this green color is not dark enough on the white background. And you can tell because this apply button won't let me click it right now. All I have to do is drag this to make it darker. It'll say apply, and then I'm good to go. It's interesting that that's an issue too, because this green was actually just this green color right here. That was wrong. You would think that that would be, they would make that a dark enough green, but you know, they didn't. So the checker caught it and it helps walk me through making it a darker color. There's some additional ones here. Heading levels should not be skipped. So I skipped from, 2 to 4. I'm going to fix that. Headings should not contain more than 120 characters. Go ahead and fix that. Add a table caption. Student grades. That's not a great caption. Grading scale. There we go. Apply. That's going to give a table caption at the top of my table. I'm going to give my row, I'm going to make it into a header that's going to make it easier to read by a screen reader. And there we go. I now have a clean bill of health from the accessibility checker. And notice that as I fixed these, the little icon went away. As you commit, that's harsh. As you include accessibility barriers, it should live update. So there we go. This text is obviously very hard to read. It caught it. It let me know, hey, something needs to be fixed. I click on it. I fix it. Boom. It's awesome. There is information in here. Like I said, students have access to that as well. And I did include a piece of the new student orientation in Canvas on how to use accessibility checkers and why they're important. So even students can get involved in making their discussion posts and stuff accessible for their fellow students who may have visual disabilities, etc. These are some of the things that are not caught. So, don't merge your table cells. That's something that can be confusing for someone using a screen reader, as well as using tables just for layout purposes to sort of lay things out. And just using headings at all is not something that it'll catch. If you don't use headings for your titles or your subtitles, that's something that it won't catch. Again, this is not an accessibility workshop, but there is an accessibility workshop for Canvas on our YouTube channel. So this next set of updates is only going to apply to those of you who are using new quizzes. If you're still using old quizzes, also called classic quizzes, also called quizzes, just plain quizzes. If it's not new quizzes, then you're using old quizzes. So this is for quote unquote new quizzes in Canvas. Here you can see this is a not filled in rocket ship. I'm going to zoom in. This is a classic quiz and this is a new quiz. Students are not going to see that, which is a little bit wild to me. I think you would want to make it as consistent as possible, but in any case, if I go to my modules page and I go to add a quiz to my modules, you can see I have the option to do new quizzes or classic quizzes. And so this would be a new quiz. And that is an old quiz. Okay. So one of the changes that came to new quizzes is something that has caused a little bit of confusion, but I think it was a good change. And that is that you now have to click through an extra screen to actually get to your quiz. You have to click on this blue build button that was added to the bottom of the screen. So what do I mean by that? It used to be that when you clicked on a new quiz, it would just take you into the new quiz and you would start building. However, that caused some confusion because this page is important. So this is the like new quiz details page, I think is what Canvas calls it. And basically it's the page where you've got your point value. So this is like a 50-point quiz, your assignment group that you want to put it in, the due date, which is super important. All of that stuff, it sort of just bypassed that. And you had to like, yeah, you had to use a map to find it again, essentially. So it caused some confusion for people that suddenly they had to click on this build button to get into the new quiz itself. I think it was a good change. It's just an extra click to actually get into your new quiz. So that did trip some people up. The build button is also going to save your changes as well. I kind of wished that it said save and build instead of just build. But so if you make a change to the due date or whatever, and then you click build, it is going to save that change. I tested that. New quizzes now have an option to print the quiz, which is a hallelujah for some people. So you can come up here to the 3 dots and say you can print a key with answers, or you can just print a blank version of the quiz. I'm going to print my blank quiz without the answers. I can choose the text size and do a print preview. And this is what it's going to look like. It is going to have this like box. It's going to have these bubbles. It's going to have this black number 1. It's going to have the point value. You can kind of edit this once you print it out. If you print it into something like a PDF or whatever, it's kind of hard though. So you're kind of stuck with this format, unfortunately. But it's better than nothing. At least you can print a copy of the quiz. The version with the key is just going to have the correct answer like filled in. Okay, so then, and if you want to, you can also quote unquote print as a PDF. That combination kind of confuses people because printing to most people means that it physically turns into paper from a printer, but you can use the print function to save it as a PDF, and it'll spit out a PDF file digitally instead of a physical piece of paper. So if you want to print quote unquote to PDF, that's an option as well. And then you'll get a PDF copy that looks like this, which is kind of nice. And then finally, new quizzes has an option to share. There's a lot of text on this screen, guys, so I apologize for that. But you have the option to share your new quiz item banks with other people and with courses. This was a downside of new quizzes, is that it was hard to share your questions with other people and other courses. So now basically, if I go into, I'm going to minimize that. If I go into exit preview, so this is a quote unquote banked question, which is to say that I took this question and I know that I want to reuse it on multiple tests across multiple classes. And if I make a change to this question, if I go in here and I change it from the answer is B to the answer is A, all of the quizzes that use it will also change. That's an important thing to know. It can be really handy if you notice a typo in one of your questions and you use that question in like 6 of your classes. You can change it in one place and it will change across all of the classes that are using it. So I can edit this in the bank, and it's going to tell me this is a banked item. So you have to edit it in the question bank. And that's your cue that this is going to appear on any assessment that uses this item, including now other people that you have shared this question with. So what I can do is there is now a new, let's see, item banks. There is now a new item banks link on the left-hand side of your course. Students do not see it, even though there's no icon next to it. And you can share your item bank with other people and with other courses. There it is. So you have this share button, and I can share this with other people. So I've got some fake people here. I could share that question bank with Molly Training Wheels, with one of your colleagues. Could also share it with a course. So could share it with like an A&M course or something. The important thing here is that you have 2 options. There's view and there's edit. What the Canvas documentation as of September 2021 does not say is that view means that they can also use those questions. They can do more than just look at it. They can also use the questions on your question bank, but they cannot make changes to your question bank. So that's, I'm going to bring up my wall of text again. So other teachers can use questions from your item bank, excuse me, but they can't change them. But do be careful, because you make sure that you let them know that if you as the instructor make changes, they will get the results of those changes. So if you say, you know what, I don't like how that question is worded, I'm going to change it up, anyone that you have shared it with is getting the exact same question. And so they will get the exact same changes. It is not making a copy for them. It is giving them the actual question. If you allow people to edit, you have to be super duper careful, because again, if they edit the question bank, you will get those edits. They will actually be editing your question bank and your questions on your quizzes. So this is good if you're like maybe team teaching or something like that, and you need to share stuff with other people, you know, or if you need to, again, now, like Mary Morehouse helps with creating quizzes sometimes. She has the option to see all your question banks now, whereas it was really hard in new quizzes before. Another thing to keep in mind is that removing the share does not delete the questions from other teachers' tests. So let's say I share my questions with like a team teacher or a TA or something, and then so that they can use the questions, or a new adjunct so that they can use the questions in their quizzes. They leave the college, for just to give an example. So you delete their ability to see the questions. It will not mess with their tests that already exist. It will simply not allow them to add additional questions from your question bank. You can also share question banks with the college. I haven't tested this, but my instinct is to caution against that, because often students are also employees, and as employees, they might have legitimate reasons to be considered a teacher in Canvas. And my instinct is that they might have access to those things that are shared with the institution. So just keep that in mind. I would share individually with students unless you have a really good reason to share it with the college. And then I have a link here on how to manage your item banks and how to share your item banks. Okay, so this definitely went on longer than I thought it was going to. Of course, that always happens. So I do have some additional notes. The first is Canvas has implemented what it calls maintenance windows. You can also think of them as downtimes. So the first and third Thursday of the month, every month, from 12:05 to 2:05 a.m. So if the student's working a late night that Wednesday into Thursday, Canvas is going to be down. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you can sort of plan your assignments accordingly, or tell students to plan their assignments accordingly. I'm a night owl, so working on something at 12 in the morning, that's not an unreasonable time to be working on schoolwork. Additionally, that's an Eastern time, so it might affect other time zones as well. It's kind of annoying. It's one of those necessary things that if Canvas has problems, they will make updates to fix it during those times, rather than, you know, in the middle of the day. This is kind of an old one, but Canvas no longer sends text messages as notifications. If you're interested, and if your students are interested in getting notifications to your phone, your mobile devices, your iPad, whatever, get the Canvas apps. There are two: Canvas Student and Canvas Teacher. One is for students, one is for teachers. You can get both if you're a teacher. Feel free to download both and kind of see how it's different. One is mainly for grading, and one is mainly for like submitting and reading assignments, is kind of the difference. In any case, that will give you the ability to get notifications to your phone, to your iPad, whatever. And those are the push notifications. Again, that's kind of an older update, but I just kind of want to throw it out there. Oh, this is a big one. So some of you may have run afoul of the new LTI process. I'm not going to go into depth. Basically, if you are someone who is interested in adding additional third-party apps or integrations, such as a textbook integration to Canvas, such as Pearson MyLab, Pearson Revel, Cengage, there are ones that are already in Canvas, but every once in a while they may release like a new product, or there might be a new publisher that is not integrated with Canvas yet. If you are interested in adding those to Canvas, there's a whole process. It has to be approved. Reason being is that we don't know the FERPA status of those things. We don't know if they follow student privacy laws. We don't know if they follow our accessibility policy. We don't know if they have proper data security measures in place, for example. So these are all super important, very, very technical things. We just want to protect you and protect our students from apps by other companies that are going to have access to your students' information, their name, their grades, and we want to make sure that those are coded properly, that other companies are doing their due diligence to build these things properly, because if they break, we've had Canvas apps that break and bring down all of Canvas for everyone. That's why it's a whole process. You can go to this website, kvcc.edu/LTI, give it a full semester for these to be reviewed and approved. That's just how long it's been taking. And unfortunately, third-party companies will not tell you this. The salespeople, either they don't know or they want to make you think it's easier than it is. So they said it's super easy. Your Canvas admin just has to do this and this. We'll walk them through it. It can be done in a few minutes. And then you come to us and we say, actually, this is a 4-month process and it's not fun, but please just be aware of that. This is not the same as third-party websites. Feel free to link to third-party websites in your Canvas course. If students click on a link and go out to another website, maybe they have to make a separate username and password to log into that website. That is not what we're talking about. I'm talking specifically about apps that have to be installed or integrated into Canvas itself, like Respondus, like Cengage, like Pearson MyLab, etc. So some resources that you can use and to give to your students. First of all, how do you keep up with these Canvas changes? First, you can click on the help menu and you can see release notes that apply to your role. So I see some admin ones here. You're probably only going to see instructor ones or student ones maybe. And you can also go to the release notes archive. So release notes is Canvas saying, these are the features that we are releasing on this date. They're a little bit tricky to interpret. I will be the first to tell you that. So if you want to skip release notes that don't apply to you, you can go to these quote unquote user summaries. So the user summaries are going to be just the release notes that apply to you based on your role in Canvas. So you can skip the student ones, you can skip the admin ones, you can just look at things that are going to affect instructors. So that's another handy option. So why would you keep up with releases? Again, we are going to try our best to keep up with these major changes and let you know about them. Sometimes there's stuff that is turned off by default, and we don't take the time to turn it on until we can at least look into it and kind of decide, is this something that would be helpful for instructors? Feature previews are going to appear on your course settings page, and you can turn some of these options on for individual courses before they are turned on for all of Canvas. We do our best to keep up with these, but we're a small department. So if you want to dive into these and see what's coming and see what's available, and you don't see something in your Canvas course that you want to try to use that is listed here that you can't use yet, please feel free to reach out to us. We appreciate it when you tell us like, hey, this is important to me. I want to try this feature out. And if you go to the feature previews on the settings page of your course, you can toggle some things on and off and try them out. Again, if you want to ignore all of this, we tend to be conservative in our attitudes towards turning new features on in Canvas. We learned from new quizzes being turned on too quickly and everyone using it and it having all of these issues. Our experience with Canvas is that new features tend to have bugs, more bugs than we would like. And the support that you get from Canvas in fixing those bugs, unfortunately, has been lacking. So use new features at your own risk and definitely share your experiences with us if they're either really good or really bad. So speaking of which, there are some future things that are coming down the pipeline. They are completely redesigning discussions and they have redesigned assignments. I don't have a date for when these things are going to be forced on you guys. we're going to be conservative in turning these things on, probably going to wait until the very last minute when they say the old version is not going to be supported anymore. That said, there is a way for you to try these things out in your classes if you would like to. And if you do, I definitely recommend joining what are called the feature user groups. So I would use this link and you can join groups that are centered around new features. There's one for new quizzes, there's one for the discussions redesign, the assignment enhancements, and they will talk about, some of the troubles that they've been having with, some of the suggestions that they have. The developers and the programmers will post updates that are coming. Yeah, so that's keeping up with changes. I know we're over time, so I'll let you go in just a moment. And then finally, I've got a couple more resources. If you're like, oh my God, all this terminology, you can head to this Canvas Basics guide and you can look up one of the terms in this workshop. I use Control F to search the page. And you can, this is the Canvas guide for what the heck is some piece of jargon. And then video guides, you can look at the ones for all users, for instructors, and for students. They're all on the same page. And you can send these video guides to your students, especially if you don't know how to use something or you don't know how to explain how to use something to your students. And that's it. I appreciate you being here, and I will post this recording shortly.